Starting our list is Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord, which delivers massive medieval sandbox warfare where you build armies, conquer territories, and forge your own kingdom through strategic brilliance and combat prowess. The combat system features directional blocking and attacking that requires genuine skill to master, with massive battles involving hundreds of troops clashing simultaneously across varied terrain. You start as nobody and work your way up through mercenary work, banditry, or honorable service to lords, eventually gathering companions and building your own warband. The kingdom management adds strategic depth as you assign fiefs, manage policies, and navigate complex diplomatic relationships between factions vying for control of Calradia. The modding community has created incredible content, from total conversion mods to gameplay enhancements that extend replayability infinitely beyond the already substantial base game. The siege warfare is particularly impressive, with destructible walls, siege equipment, and tactical positioning determining victory more than raw numbers alone. Next up, we have The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, which sets the gold standard for open-world RPGs, with Geralt's monster hunting adventures across beautifully realized fantasy kingdoms filled with moral complexity. The combat blends swordplay, magic signs, alchemy, and preparation, with each monster requiring specific strategies and weaknesses you must discover through research or experimentation. The narrative branches extensively based on your choices in conversations and actions, with consequences appearing hours later in unexpected ways that make every decision feel weighty. The world building is exceptional, with each region having distinct culture, architecture, and problems, from war-torn Valen to the cosmopolitan streets of Novigrad and the harsh islands of Skellige. The two massive expansions, Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine, add dozens of hours of content that rivals the main story in quality and scope. The side quests avoid generic fetch quest design, instead telling compelling mini-stories that explore themes of prejudice, love, and the costs of violence in mature, thoughtful ways. Skyrim Special Edition remains endlessly playable over a decade later thanks to incredible modding support that transforms the game into virtually anything you can imagine, from survival simulators to complete overhauls. The freedom to build any character archetype, from sneaky archer to destructive mage to heavy armored warrior, gives each playthrough a different feel and approach to challenges. The world design encourages exploration, with dungeons, caves, and ruins hiding around every mountain pass, each containing unique stories told through environmental details and item placement. The main story about dragons returning and your destiny as Dragonborn provides structure, but the real magic comes from wandering off the beaten path, discovering unexpected adventures. The guild questlines, from the Dark Brotherhood assassinations to the Thieves Guild heists, offer substantial storylines independent of the main narrative. The modding scene has created everything from graphical overhauls to new lands, quests, and gameplay systems that keep the game fresh even after hundreds of hours. Elden Ring brings From Software's demanding combat and world design to massive open world, where exploration and player skill determine your path through the lands between. The combat requires precise timing, stamina management, and learning enemy patterns, with punishing difficulty that rewards perseverance and mastery over button mashing. The open world structure gives you freedom to tackle challenges in various orders, letting you explore elsewhere when stuck rather than forcing you through linear progression. The character building offers incredible variety, with magic spells, weapon arts, spirit summons, and stat distributions creating endless build possibilities, from nimble dex builds to heavy strength weapons. The world design hides secrets everywhere, from underground cities to hidden legacy dungeons that rival main path areas in size and complexity. The multiplayer seamlessly integrates with invasions, cooperative summons, and messages, creating shared experience despite the lonely atmosphere of the ruined kingdom. Dragon's Dogma 2 expands Capcom's unique action RPG with improved pawn system, where AI companions learn from players worldwide, creating genuinely helpful allies who remember strategies and enemy weaknesses. The combat feels like playing action game character classes in open-world RPG, with each vocation offering completely different playstyles, from Mystic Spearhand to Trickster support roles. The world reacts dynamically to your actions, with NPCs remembering interactions, grudges forming from mistakes, and consequences playing out across your playthrough in emergent ways. The day-night cycle dramatically changes gameplay, with nights becoming genuinely dangerous as stronger monsters emerge and visibility drops to almost nothing without light sources. The climbing system lets you scale monsters and structures, creating dramatic moments where you cling to griffin wings or climb fortress walls during sieges. The pawn knowledge system means lending your main pawn to other players earns you rewards, while borrowing specialized pawns helps overcome challenges you struggle with alone. Baldurs Gate 3 delivers the definitive modern CRPG experience, with turn-based combat using actual D&D 5th edition rules adapted masterfully for video game format. The narrative branching is extraordinary, with choices mattering across the entire campaign, different origin characters offering unique perspectives, and multiple solutions to most problems. The companion relationships develop through approval systems and personal quests that interweave with the main story about mind flayer parasites and impending doom. The tactical combat challenges you to use environmental advantages, spell combinations, and positioning with difficulty that respects player intelligence, rather than just inflating enemy stats. The presentation quality is remarkable, with motion-captured performances, full voice acting, and cinematic dialogue scenes that bring the characters to life beyond typical RPG presentations. The mod support and split-screen co-op make this endlessly replayable, solo or with friends, experiencing the story together, making different choices along the way. Mordhau offers deeper, more technical medieval combat compared to Chivalry, with complex mechanics like chambering, morphing, and drag techniques that create a high skill ceiling. The customization lets you create specific builds with armor, weapons, and perks that define your combat role, from heavy plate knights to agile duelists. The combat system rewards timing and prediction over reaction speed, with experienced players reading feints and countering attacks through superior positioning and technique. The mounted combat and siege weapons add variety to infantry fighting, with horses, catapults, and ballistas providing strategic options beyond pure swordsmanship. The community has created impressive maps and mods, extending the content beyond official releases, with custom game modes and total conversions. The dueling servers provide pure skill-based combat, stripping away team dynamics to test individual mastery in honorable one-on-one fights. For Honor blends fighting game mechanics with third-person medieval combat, creating a unique multiplayer experience where every encounter feels like a structured duel, even in team modes. The Art of Battle system uses stance-based attacks and blocks, with guard break mix-ups, parries, and unique character abilities, creating depth similar to traditional fighters. Each hero, from knights to samurai to Vikings, has completely unique movesets, requiring practice to master their specific combos, feints, and optimal punishes. The gear system and customization let you personalize your favorite heroes with cosmetics and minor stat adjustments, while keeping core combat skill-based. The story campaign provides solid single-player content, teaching mechanics while telling a tale of eternal war between factions with supernatural elements. The seasonal content and new heroes keep the meta evolving, with balance patches addressing community concerns and tournaments showcasing high-level play. Medieval Dynasty combines first-person survival with dynasty building as you establish a village from nothing, growing it across generations, managing family and settlement simultaneously. The survival mechanics require hunting, gathering, crafting, and building shelter, while seasonal changes affect resource availability and farming cycles. You court and marry spouse, raise children, who eventually take over when your character ages and dies, continuing your legacy through successive generations. The village management involves recruiting villagers, assigning jobs, building infrastructure, and collecting taxes that fund expansion while keeping people happy and productive. The tech tree unlocks new crafting recipes, building types, and tools that expand what your settlement can produce and sustain. The peaceful focus on building and survival, rather than constant combat, creates a relaxing experience, punctuated by hunting trips and resource-gathering expeditions across the beautiful medieval landscape. Manor Lords brings unprecedented city-building detail to medieval setting, where you manage organic settlement growth while commanding troops in real-time tactical battles. The gridless building system lets settlements grow naturally along roads, with burgage plots developing based on space and resources, creating unique layouts each playthrough. The seasonal gameplay affects farming, with crop rotation, field management, and harvest timing crucial to feeding your growing population through winter. The economic simulation tracks individual resources through production chains, from raw materials to finished goods, with supply and demand affecting prices and profitability. The combat blends total war-style formations with smaller-scale, more intimate battles where unit positioning and morale matter more than raw numbers. The early access development shows incredible promise, with regular updates adding requested features and polish to the already impressive medieval management simulation. Crusader Kings III focuses on dynasty management through medieval politics, where personal relationships, intrigue, and strategic marriages matter more than military conquest alone. You play as ruler, guiding your dynasty through centuries, managing succession, raising heirs, and navigating complex webs of vassals, allies, and rivals. The character-driven gameplay creates emergent stories, as your ruler's traits, skills, and relationships shape available options and likely outcomes for diplomatic actions. The intrigue system lets you scheme assassinations, fabricate claims, seduce spouses, and manipulate rivals through plots that may succeed spectacularly or backfire catastrophically. The religious and cultural mechanics let you reform faiths, adopt new innovations, and spread your culture's influence beyond simple territorial expansion. The role-playing elements encourage playing characters rather than optimizing every decision, creating memorable rulers from saintly kings to absolutely monstrous tyrants. Kingdom Come Deliverance sets the foundation with its realistic medieval world and combat, where you play blacksmith's son thrust into historical events of medieval Bohemia. The combat system emphasizes realism, with directional attacks, stamina management, and master strikes that reward timing and skill over stat advantages. The save system tied to specific items and sleeping forces you to commit to decisions and live with consequences, rather than save scumming through challenges. The skill progression realistically improves through practice, with reading requiring actually learning the alphabet and swordplay improving through training and combat experience. The historical accuracy extends to architecture, clothing, daily life routines, and social hierarchies, creating authentic recreation of 15th century Bohemia. The quests avoid fantasy tropes, focusing on human conflicts, political intrigue, and realistic problems peasants and nobles face during this tumultuous historical period. Greedfall delivers colonial fantasy RPG, where you navigate political tensions between factions on a mysterious island, balancing old-world powers with native inhabitants and supernatural elements. The combat blends magic, firearms, and melee weapons with tactical pause option, letting you plan attacks and coordinate with companions strategically. The companion system features memorable characters, each representing different factions, with personal quests that explore themes of colonialism, faith, and cultural conflict. The diplomatic choices let you ally with various factions, affecting how the story progresses with multiple endings based on your political decisions and relationship management. The world design creates beautiful island environments, mixing European colonial architecture with indigenous settlements and ancient ruins filled with magical creatures. The crafting and gear customization let you specialize your character, while companion builds can be directed to complement your playstyle, creating tactical party compositions. Kingdom Two Crowns offers minimalist kingdom building, where you ride horse, recruiting subjects and building defenses against nightly monster attacks, threatening your realm. The side-scrolling perspective and simple controls hides surprising strategic depth as you expand territory, unlock new mounts, and discover campaign secrets. The cooperative multiplayer lets two monarchs rule together, coordinating resource spending and defensive strategies to survive the increasingly difficult monster waves. The different campaign settings, from medieval Europe to feudal Japan, offer distinct aesthetics, units, and challenges, while maintaining core gameplay loop. The permadeath adds tension, as losing your crown means starting over, with new monarch inheriting the previous ruler's kingdom in whatever state it was left. The roguelite elements create replayability, as each campaign teaches lessons applied to subsequent attempts, with unlocked mounts and knowledge carrying between runs. A Plague Tale Requiem continues Amisha and Hugo's journey with improved stealth mechanics and grander scale as they flee persecution across medieval France, seeking cure for Hugo's curse. The environmental storytelling creates harrowing atmosphere as you traverse plague-ravaged cities, abandoned villages, and sunlit countryside, each telling stories of devastation and survival. The stealth gameplay requires using limited resources cleverly, with alchemy crafting tools, distractions, and light sources to avoid or manipulate enemies and rat swarms. The narrative explores sibling bond as Amisha struggles protecting Hugo, while his powers grow increasingly dangerous and difficult to control, with emotional weight throughout. The graphics push boundaries with incredible lighting, particle effects for rat swarms, and detailed character animations, bringing the grim setting to life beautifully. The pacing balances tense stealth sequences with quieter character moments and spectacular set pieces, creating a cinematic experience that respects player agency. Ghost of Tsushima transports you to feudal Japan as Samurai Jin Sakai defending Tsushima Island from Mongol invasion, using honorable combat and dishonorable ghost tactics. The combat system lets you choose between direct samurai duels using standoffs and precise parrying, or stealth ghost tactics using assassinations and fear to demoralize enemies. The world is stunningly beautiful, with wind guiding you naturally toward objectives through swaying grass and environmental cues, rather than intrusive UI markers. The photo mode is incredibly robust, letting you capture cinematic moments with adjustable weather, time of day, and filters, creating shareable artistry from gameplay. The customization includes armor sets, sword kits, and techniques that let you specialize towards samurai, ghost, or hybrid playstyles based on personal preference. The Legends cooperative mode adds replayable content with friend-focused missions and raid content separate from the main campaign. Assassin's Creed Valhalla brings Viking age to the series, as Eivor leads clan establishing settlement in England while navigating Saxon kingdoms and ancient mysteries. The settlement building provides progression hub, where constructing buildings unlocks new quest lines, services, and customization options, creating tangible growth beyond personal power. The raid mechanics let you sail longship with crew, attacking monasteries and military locations for resources needed to upgrade your settlement and equipment. The combat balances series stealth with more aggressive Viking combat, using axes, shields, and abilities that reward calculated aggression over pure stealth approaches. The skill tree offers incredible variety, with 3 distinct paths, focusing on melee combat, ranged assassination, or stealth approaches, each with unique abilities and playstyles. The mythological realms accessed through story provides surreal contrast to historical England, with Asgard and Jotunheim sequences exploring Norse mythology directly. Red Dead Redemption 2 sets new standard for open-world immersion, with staggering attention to detail in everything from horse testicle physics to realistic hunting and camp management. The story follows Arthur Morgan and Vander Lindegang as the Wild West dies around them, creating a melancholic narrative about change, loyalty, and redemption. The honor system tracks your behavior, affecting how NPCs react and available story outcomes, with choices between outlaw and honorable paths creating different experiences. The world simulation is unmatched, with realistic animal behavior, dynamic weather affecting gameplay, NPCs following daily routines, and random encounters creating a living, breathing frontier. The camp system requires maintaining supplies and morale, with gang members each having personal stories and optional missions that deepen your connection to the doomed outlaws. The gunplay feels weighty and impactful, with Deadeye system adding tactical depth to shootouts, while encouraging precise shooting over spray and pray approaches. Valheim brings Viking survival to procedurally generated world, where you fight mythological creatures and build settlements, solo or with up to 10 players cooperatively. The progression involves defeating bosses to unlock new biomes and resources, creating clear objectives beyond simple survival that drive exploration and preparation. The building system is remarkably flexible, letting you construct anything from simple shelters to elaborate longhouses and fortresses, limited only by structural integrity and imagination. The combat is challenging, requiring learning enemy patterns, upgrading gear, and preparing properly for biome-specific threats, from trolls to dragons. The sailing mechanics create genuine exploration feeling as you navigate oceans, discovering new islands, and transporting resources back to established bases. The regular updates continue adding biomes, enemies, and features years after launch, with dedicated developers responsive to community feedback. Corekeeper offers underground mining and exploration, where you dig through procedurally generated caverns, building base while fighting creatures and growing crops in a subterranean farm. The progression loop involves mining resources to craft better gear, letting you venture deeper into more dangerous biomes, filled with tougher enemies and valuable materials. The boss fights require preparation and skill, rewarding players who upgrade equipment and learn attack patterns before challenging them. The farming and cooking systems provide sustenance and buffs, with automation possible through various machines as you establish elaborate underground homestead. The multiplayer supports cooperative play, letting friends divide labor between mining, farming, combat, and building, creating efficient operations. The regular content updates add new biomes, items, and mechanics, keeping the game fresh for returning players with hundreds of hours already invested. Green Hell drops you into Amazon rainforest where realistic survival mechanics require managing sanity, nutrition, hydration, and wounds while building shelter and tools from jungle resources. The story mode provides narrative context and objectives while teaching survival systems through a dangerous journey to find missing wife in hostile environment. The injury system requires specific treatments, with different wounds needing appropriate care from bandages for cuts to maggots for infected wounds, creating medical complexity. The building allows constructing elaborate bases from available materials, with defensive structures protecting against predators and hostile tribes. The sanity mechanic responds to player actions and conditions, with hallucinations and mental breaks occurring when pushed too far without proper rest and nutrition. The co-op mode lets friends survive together, sharing workload and protecting each other from jungle's countless lethal threats. Sons of the Forest continues the survival horror formula with improved graphics, mechanics, and AI companions who actually help rather than hinder your survival efforts. The seasonal progression affects gameplay, with winter bringing snow, resource scarcity, and new survival challenges beyond simple temperature management. The 3D printer lets you craft advanced items and weapons once you find printer and necessary resources, creating a satisfying tech progression from primitive to modern tools. The companions, Kelvin and Virginia, have their own behaviors and can be assigned tasks from gathering resources to providing combat support, making them genuinely useful allies. The cave systems are even more elaborate and terrifying, with improved creature designs and labyrinthine passages, hiding story elements and valuable equipment. The building improvements allow more creative construction, with better stability systems and additional structure types, enabling ambitious architectural projects. Outward Definitive Edition differentiates itself through permanent consequences and lack of handholding, where you play regular adventurer, not chosen hero, with realistic limitations and needs. The survival mechanics require managing temperature, sleep, hunger, and disease, with proper preparation essential before venturing into dangerous areas, or you will die quickly. The magic system demands significant investment, with mana requiring sacrifice of health or stamina, and spells learned through finding trainers and completing specific requirements. The combat is deliberately challenging, with no levels or traditional progression, instead rewarding player skill, preparation, and using environment and tools creatively. The split-screen co-op lets friends adventure together, sharing the brutal world's challenges and combining abilities to overcome obstacles neither could handle alone. The Definitive Edition includes both DLCs, adding new regions, quests, and mechanics to the already substantial survival RPG experience. ELEX 2 continues the post-apocalyptic science fantasy world blending magic and technology, as Jax returns, fighting a new threat after events of the first game. The jetpack traversal sets this apart from typical RPGs, letting you explore vertically and reach areas inaccessible on foot, creating three-dimensional level design. The faction system requires choosing allies, with each offering unique technology, armor sets, and quest lines that lock out others, creating replayability through different allegiances. The combat blends melee weapons, ranged guns, and magical abilities, with character builds determining your effectiveness in each approach, from pure melee warrior to tech sniper. The companion system features recruitable allies, each with personal quests and combat abilities that complement different playstyles. The moral choices affect faction relationships and story outcomes, with gray morality, where no faction is purely good or evil, requiring pragmatic decisions. Risen 3 Titan Lords delivers Piranha Bytes' trademark exploration-focused RPG, where you play Demon Hunter, reclaiming your soul while investigating a magical crisis threatening world. The open world encourages exploration, with hidden caves, islands, and secrets, rewarding thorough players who venture off main paths into dangerous areas. The faction choice between demon hunters, mages, and pirates determines available skills, equipment, and story perspectives, creating different playthroughs. The magic system includes voodoo, crystal magic, and demon magic, each with distinct spell lists and requirements for mastering their powers. The naval exploration lets you sail between islands, discovering new locations and engaging in ship combat against enemy vessels. The humor and quirky characters provide lighter moments, contrasting the serious main plot about demons and fallen titans. Gothic Remake rebuilds the cult classic with modern graphics, while maintaining the challenging exploration-focused gameplay and immersive world design of the original. The colony setting creates unique atmosphere, where you are a prisoner in a mining valley ruled by various factions, competing for control and resources. The challenging difficulty means enemies are genuinely threatening, requiring you to pick fights carefully, exploit AI behavior, and gradually grow stronger through training and equipment. The skill system requires finding trainers and paying for lessons, making character progression feel earned rather than automatic, with levels creating satisfying growth arc. The exploration rewards curiosity, with hidden areas, shortcuts, and secrets scattered throughout the valley, encouraging thorough investigation. The faction choice between Old Camp, New Camp, or Swamp Camp determines allegiances, available quests, and how you approach liberating the colony from its magical barrier.
Enderal Forgotten Stories is total conversion mod for Skyrim that creates an entirely new game with original story, world, and mechanics unrelated to Elder Scrolls lore. The narrative is darker and more focused than Skyrim, with psychological horror elements and philosophical themes about fate, free will, and cycles of destruction. The class system replaces Skyrim's free-form progression with defined archetypes that specialize in specific playstyles, from battle mage to infiltrator, creating more structured builds. The world design is more curated, with handcrafted locations, avoiding some of Skyrim's procedural dungeon repetition, creating memorable, unique areas. The writing quality exceeds many professional RPGs, with complex characters, moral dilemmas, and plot twists that genuinely surprise and challenge player expectations. The survival and hardcore modes add optional difficulty for players seeking more challenging experience beyond what Skyrim systems typically provide. Warhammer Vermintide 2 delivers cooperative first-person melee combat as 5 heroes fight through hordes of ratmen and chaos forces in Warhammer Fantasy Universe. The melee combat is viscerally satisfying, with weighty weapons, directional attacks, and brutal executions as you cleave through dozens of enemies. Each character has multiple careers, changing their abilities, weapons, and playstyles, letting you approach missions differently based on team composition and personal preference. The loot system provides increasingly powerful weapons and cosmetics, with traits and properties that customize your build toward specific strengths. The difficulty scaling from Recruit to Cataclysm creates extreme challenge for experienced players, with higher difficulties demanding teamwork, skill, and knowledge of enemy behaviors. The regular content updates add new missions, weapons, and cosmetics years after release, with dedicated community keeping player base active.